Welcome this morning to the Migrating to ArcGIS Pro a webinar officially put on by Eagle Technology, the distributor for New Zealand and the South Pacific for Esri. And we are going to spend the next hour talking a little bit about ArcGIS Pro and how, if you're still using ArcMap, you can make that migration process into ArcGIS Pro. It's great to have you all here with us this morning, and we hope you get lots out of this webinar. So we've got a team at the behind the scenes running this webinar. They will hopefully put their cameras on as I just do some little introductions. So my name is Claire Thurlow. I am the GIS and Training Education Manager at Eagle. And I'm joined by Jess and Jack. So Jess is from our support team at Eagle and Jack is from our technical solutions team. And so we're going to be the group of people who take you through this webinar. If you would like to contact any of us, we have got our email addresses there on the slide for the webinar at the moment. And I will see if I can put the slide back up at the end of the webinar as well. So if you wanted to contact us directly, you'll be able to do that. Okay. So what are we actually going to talk about in this webinar? So we've got a bunch of topics that we want to cover. We actually do have quite a bit to cover in the hour that we're going to be with you. So we are going to have a look at, we're going to go back into ArcMap and we're going to say, what's ArcMap versus ArcGIS Pro? We're going to have a look at some of the challenges in doing that migration, be they past challenges or challenges that you might see. And we are going to make sure that we do some demos and show you some resources that will help you make that progression. And we're also going to have a Q&A session as well. So on that Q&A session, just to let you know how to actually put a question in to us if you'd like it to be answered. So you have a questions panel down the side of your screen. And so just drop your questions in there and they'll come through to us as the presenters, and we'll either respond to them in that questions pane or we'll respond to them in that live Q&A panel as well. So let's get into the actual content of the webinar, and I'm going to hand over to Jess for this part of the webinar.
Awesome, thank you for that, Claire. I just want to start out today by having a bit of a look into what ArcMap is and what ArcGIS Pro is, so we can really get an understanding of why this migration is key. If we could pop to that next slide there, please, Claire. Thank you. So ArcMap was released back in 1999, where Esri released ArcMap 8.0. And this software was the original ArcGIS desktop software, which was accompanied by three other pieces of application. This was ArcScene, ArcGlobe, and ArcCatalog. Now, ArcScene and ArcGlobe were accessible if you had the 3D Analyst extension included along with your core licensing. In 2010, Esri released version 10X of ArcMap, with in 2015 the release of 10.3 to follow. With this release of 10.3 in 2015, we also had the first release of ArcGIS Pro 1.0. In 2020, it was then announced ArcMap would be retiring, with ArcGIS Pro planned to be a complete replacement for the product. Now, ArcGIS Pro offers us a central application, a combination of these four applications that ArcMap had to offer. This helps simplify your workflows and stop the need to jump between applications, and giving us only one application we now need to master. ArcGIS Pro provides us with all the functionality for your daily tasks, such as analysis, data editing, data management, and cartography. With ArcGIS Pro being released in 2015 with that version 1, we're now already up to 3.1 as the current release version. Now, you might be wondering, why should I migrate to ArcGIS Pro? Well, ArcGIS Pro offers us the ability to integrate data from multiple sources, as well as feature equivalency between ArcMap and ArcGIS Pro. ArcGIS Pro brings together 2D and 3D mapping capabilities in a single application. By using multiple views on our screen, we can create powerful maps and visualization to communicate our stories better to our users. New tools and applications have been added to take advantage of the new technologies available since the release of ArcMap. You can now easily access data services such as Living Atlas or Esri base maps, as well as WFS services such as LINS datasets. ArcGIS Pro uses location-based data science using a number of analytical geoprocessing tools. With over 2,000 tools are now available to us in ArcGIS Pro. You have more capabilities than you have ever had before. ArcGIS Pro allows you to share your source with the world with simplified sharing methods, with 4 different sharing methods available of private, organization-wide, public, or group-based, which can be a combination of the previous 3. ArcGIS Pro is a desktop app that allows you to analyze, visualize, and share GIS data. With new licensing capabilities, we can access ArcGIS Pro by logging into your ArcGIS Online account, linking you to the wider ArcGIS platform, giving us a platform approach to a complete GIS. Your workflow would likely look like an origin in ArcGIS Pro, with your content that you create, such as maps and layers, then being shared as services or web maps to our preferred viewers via mobile and web apps. Pro services can be utilities in many apps, such as Field Maps, Survey 123, and many other in-field applications. Now, the biggest reason you should be starting to look into this migration process is that ArcMap is moving to mature support in 2024, with its retirement soon to follow in 2026. Once this product is retired, we can use it, but it's only supported by using existing support materials available online. So these are the support materials that are currently available. You can access at the moment, but past that, no more support will be provided. Already Enterprise 10.9 onwards is not supporting publishing from ArcMap, and ArcGIS Pro, since it has that equivalent functionality to ArcMap, it just makes more sense to start moving over. Now, with that, I'm going to pass over to Claire to discuss some of the challenges that come with this migration. Claire, we can't hear or see you if you're speaking at the moment.
So that, Jess, sorry about that. I was busy talking to myself. Some of the challenges that we have seen with ArcGIS Pro is that there was originally a lack of resources available to actually do the migration, and that we had some third-party extensions that hadn't actually been migrated over as well. Now, there are some things that are still challenges, but a lot of them have been mitigated, and we've seen that in our statistics of people actually migrating. So I thought I'd show you some of those. So currently we have our support team who is taking calls around ArcMap and ArcGIS Pro. So over the period of January 1st, 2020 to just prior to this webinar in 2023, we have seen a huge increase in the support cases that are being logged for ArcGIS Pro and a real decrease in the support cases for ArcMap. So you can see that we've got 89 versus 500 there for those 2 products. We can also see this migration happening in our requests for base maps. So you can see that dark sort of tealy green is the requests that are coming from ArcGIS Pro, and then we've got the sort of more greeny colour, which is the requests that are coming for our base maps for from ArcMap. And so we're seeing a reduction of those statistics. And we are interpreting this as being seeing people actually migrating to ArcGIS Pro. About 6 months ago, if we'd done these statistics, especially for the base map, we would have seen a 50-50 split between ArcMap and ArcGIS Pro. One of the other challenges or previous barriers to the migration was the availability of training resources. I'm going to show you some of the training resources that are now available. Also another barrier was the availability of time to migrate. And for some organisations, you do have to go through, I guess, a project-based approach to migrating to new software. So we have started to see a number of organisations that are doing that project to do that migration at the moment. And there was a huge dependency on third-party extensions that was an issue to actually migrating to ArcGIS Pro. A number of those third-party extensions have now been migrated. And so if you're working in that forestry area, some of the forestry third-party extensions that were dependencies, you're saying, I can't migrate to ArcGIS Pro because this extension is only available in ArcMap. Those barriers have been removed or are in the process of being removed. And Jess is going to come back to some of those items and their brand new, shiny ArcGIS Pro versions a little bit later in the webinar. So some training resources to help you migrate or adopt to ArcGIS Pro. So we have our main website that we can use to help you use to do this migration. So I'm just going to pop onto the website so you can have a look at it. This is the website. Maybe I can pop the URL for this into the chat window as well so you can see it there. So that's the website that you can go and have a look at. And we've designed this website so that if you are a particular type of persona, you can go in and find resources that are specific to you. So for example, if you are the person who uses ArcGIS Pro, there's a user resource section. You can connect to it via this link at the top of the page, or you can just scroll down and there's a little card there that you can click. We've got a manager's persona. So if you are somebody who has to manage the migration of a whole bunch of people to ArcGIS Pro, we've put some resources together to help you with that process. And then if you're the person that everybody's asking for licenses for ArcGIS Pro, that administrator card is the one that you want to go through. And if you click into one of these personas, you'll get some resources specific to you. And you can see looking about your license, how you get your license, download and install ArcGIS Pro if you're allowed to do that on your own machine. And then underneath that, there is some resources as far as training is concerned. So some e-learning resources with the Esri Academy. And then we also have a migrating from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro course that we run. It's an instructor-led course. One of those will also be running after the New Zealand Esri User Conference. And so you can get a bundled deal with your conference registration. So keep a lookout for that when registrations go live for conference. And once this webinar is recorded, we will actually link the newer webinar, this one, to that card there for the Migrating to ArcGIS Pro item. Some other resources that we actually have available to us. So let me go back to our PowerPoint slides. There is a ArcGIS Pro Esri blog, so it keeps you up with all the new functionality that's coming through. That e-learning that I mentioned is available from the Esri Academy, and I'll drop the URL for that Esri Academy into the chat window in a moment. We have our Esri community, which you can focus in on ArcGIS Pro and ask some questions if you would like to, around specific things that you want to learn how to do in ArcGIS Pro. And as always, with any product that comes out from Esri, we do have some really good documentation around the different functions that are available in ArcGIS Pro. So those are some of the resources that we now have available to us at our fingertips that will help with some of those challenges that we have seen in the past with doing the migration to ArcGIS Pro. Now I'm going to hand over to Jack now, and he's just going to do some wee demos and get us into ArcGIS Pro so we can actually see what is going on. So just bear with me while we swap things over so Jack can do that wee demo.
Hey, I'm Jack, and I'm going to give you a short demonstration of a basic overview of the functionality of ArcGIS Pro. So if you could just go ahead and press play, please there, Claire.
I'm just going to have to do a wee reshare here. Sorry, the play button is not working at the moment. So let's see if we can get it going. It should be going now. You'll have to unmute yourself again.
So this is the interface of ArcGIS Pro. It is slightly different to the user interface of ArcMap, which is comprised of toolbars and dialog boxes that you use to access functionality throughout the different publications. However, in ArcGIS Pro, you use ribbon tabs and panes which dynamically update based on your context to access functionality. So the ribbon, which you can see at the top of your interface, presents a modern and intuitive design like other widely used software application. It contains tabs, each housing various tools and commands categorized based on their functionality. The ribbon simplifies the process of accessing tools and functions, providing a streamlined experience for users. The contents pane, which you can see on the left of your screen, serves as a hub for managing and organizing the elements that are related in the active view of your project, which displays the layers, maps, layouts, and other project items. Users can easily navigate through the contents, adjust layer properties, and interact with the map layers. The catalog pane in ArcGIS Pro provides access to various data sources, including folders, databases, and web services. It offers an extensive set of tools for searching, browsing, and connecting to data. Users can explore available data, add layers to the map, create new data sets, and perform data management tasks using the catalog pane. So you can see the layers that are in my current map view are of vulnerable buildings in the Kelvin area in Wellington from a potential earthquake, where the building's susceptibility to being damaged from shaking is ranked from low to high, which you can see in the contents pane there. You can also convert this map to a local scene in the View tab, which will then turn the map into a 3D scene, as you can see there. I've already created a local scene of this layer on my other tab on the map, so I'll just change to that now. So this is the local scene that allows you to experience geographic information similarly to the way you would in the real world in a three-dimensional space. Also, you can then position these maps so they are side by side so you can compare the two different views. You can then also link the views by clicking Link Views and then clicking either Center or Center and Scale, so that when you move one map, you also move the other map, so the two views are identical. I will now put the maps how they were before and unlink the two maps. ArcGIS Pro also has an analysis tab in the ribbon, which offers, as you can see there, which offers a wide range of advanced geoprocessing and analysis tools that empower GIS professionals to conduct complex spatial analysis and automate geoprocessing workflows. With its extensive toolbox, users can perform tasks such as spatial statistics, network analysis, suitability modeling, image analysis, and much more. Additionally, ArcGIS Pro supports Python scripting, enabling users to leverage the power of scripting to automate workflows and conduct advanced geospatial analysis. These advanced tools and capabilities in ArcGIS Pro enable users to gain deeper insights, make data-driven decisions, and unlock the full potential of their spatial data. Here, if we select a specific feature layer on the map, we can see how the interface dynamically updates and some more tabs pop up at the top of the ribbon that are specific to this layer. In this case, you can see 3 different tabs, which are feature layer, labeling, and data. The data tab has multiple options such as attribute table, which when pulled up shows the multiple attributes for this layer. Another tool is spatial join, which is how I created this layer by joining attributes from one layer to another layer based on their spatial relationships. You can also edit your layers in the Edit tab by creating or modifying features. I'm going to modify one of the building footprints. So when I click Modify Features, all these different tools pop up that I can use. I'm going to click Edit Vertices and then select a building footprint and edit the shape. So once I'm happy with whatever edit I've made, I'm going to click Finish, and then I can either save or discard my edits in the ribbon. Also, ArcGIS Pro has advanced options when you can control the editing settings by clicking Project on the top left and then going Options and finding the Editing tab. Here, you can adjust lots of different settings such as setting up automatic saves, or if you prefer ArcMap's stop and start editing, you can still switch back to that by selecting Enable and Disable Editing from the Edit tab. Now I'm going to return to the main page and we'll just discard these edits and then close out of the Modify Edits. Now if we bring our attention to the right to the catalog pane, we can see some of the organizational advantages that ArcGIS Pro brings. Like ArcMap, we can add folder connections to our existing data and import toolboxes and add and create databases. But we also have layouts and styles that we can create or import that are organized in their own folders. If we click on the Portal tab, this is going to allow us directly connect to ArcGIS Online or Enterprise that we are logged into. We can directly add maps and data from My Content, My Groups, My Organization, ArcGIS Online, or the Living Atlas. If you click on the Favorites tab, we can simplify our workflows by favoriting any databases, folders, or toolboxes that we want to access quicker, as well as the new computer pane in our catalog, which means you can just add layers from your computer straight into your map. One of the biggest takeaways from transitioning to ArcGIS Pro is the project-based data management. And if you click on the Share tab, you have an incredible variety of ways to share any of your work, especially with this new project format. If we click on Project, we can wrap up everything and share it in one package. And that includes not just the maps, but the layers, the data connection, the layouts, the styles, and even the toolboxes and the geoprocessing history, so a colleague could see your workflow. And we can also choose to either save it into an online account or save package as a file. Also, if we want to create a template for future workflows, we can choose project template and save any of our project formats in the same way, so our future projects can start with the same data connections and layouts. Because ArcGIS Pro is an integrated platform, the sharing tab is incredibly useful. You can publish and share any of our layers and maps through our portal publishing as a web layer and share any of your content to your organization or publicly. If you've already published a web layer to the portal, you can overwrite this web layer if you've made any changes or updates to it, allowing all your work to stay up to date. Overall, ArcGIS Pro has all the capabilities that ArcMap has and a whole lot more. Hopefully you're feeling slightly more comfortable with at least a basic overview of the ArcGIS Pro interface. For now, I'm going to hand back to Jess.
Thanks for that, Jack. That was a really great demo. Now that Jack's given us a bit of a visual idea of what ArcGIS Pro now has to offer, let's discuss some of the standout features that ArcGIS Pro can give us compared to ArcMap. So as previously mentioned, the combination of the 4 desktop apps allows us the ability to do 3D work in one application, rather than the need for a separate app such as ArcScene and ArcGlobe. Some notable features are the cartographic features that are now available in Pro, with cartography styles that weren't previously available in ArcMap. You can now create gorgeous maps with the new Firefly cartography style, which uses a bright and a beautiful glowy map aesthetic with a knack of attracting attention. It's got 20 different distinct hues that are available, plus a white version of the Firefly symbol family for your points, lines, and polygons. We also now have paper cut maps. You can turn that stack of old polygons into a crafty and meticulously stacked tourist map. You can also use the grayscale and colourful hues to help really punch up the quality of this paper cut map. With improved terrain visualization, we can now also create effects such as shadows and layer blending, and we can even simulate a sunrise effect by setting the illumination in ArcGIS Pro. So as map creators, we should always be considerate of the accessibility of our creations. A new addition that's recently been added to ArcGIS Pro is a color vision deficiency tool that allows you to view your maps how they would be viewed by people with color blindness impairments. There's 3 modes available, and you must excuse my pronunciation if I mess it up a little bit, but it's protanopia, deuteranopia, and tritanopia are the 3 different types that are available to us. Now, ArcGIS Pro provides us with capabilities that are not found in any other desktop GIS. With 3D visuals becoming tomorrow's common GIS, these experiences are fully supported by ArcGIS Pro. With 3D maps, ArcGIS Pro allows for animated 3D scenes to be created to give us a more heightened map viewing experience like never before. An example of this is this windmill farm scene you see in front of you here. You get more of the feeling that you're there in real life rather than looking down on it. And as Jack showed us in his demo, using these 3D capabilities, you can visualize data and see patterns in a way that may not have been noticeable in your standard 2D map form. With 3-dimensional scene, the map area can be visualized from any angle, from a bird's eye view through the scene rather than only looking down on it. 3D allows you to visualize vertically stacked content, show complex concepts in an easy to understand format, and invite imagination and understanding. Now, with these bigger exercise capabilities available in ArcGIS Pro, The need for bigger hardware is likely, as the device that was once compatible with ArcMap may not still be compatible with ArcGIS Pro. Now, as the technology is changing, we need to be mindful of the possibility that our hardware also needs to adapt. We do see some customers who run ArcGIS Pro on both virtual and physical machines. However, regardless if you're using either virtual or physical, the core hardware is still fundamental to the performance of your applications. With ArcGIS Pro, the recommended hardware includes a 4-core CPU, an 18 to 16 gigabyte RAM, as well as that 4 gigabyte dedicated graphics card. Now, Esri provides us with both the minimum, the recommended, and the optimal device specs, so you can make the most informed decision for your organization on what kind of hardware is required, if your current's good enough or if you need to upgrade. Now, these requirements can be found on the link on screen, and I will also, just after this piece, pop it in the chat if anyone is interested. But to make the most out of your application use, being aware of these minimum and recommended requirements is really a key step in that migration process. Now, to check your current hardware, there is actually a tool available, and it's called the Performance Assessment Tool. This tool was released by Esri to help you assess your current device's capability with the hardware requirements. All you need to do is download the tool onto your machine, and it will tell you if your current hardware, how it compares to the recommended system requirements that Esri has made available to us. This tool is publicly accessible, and you can get it through ArcGIS Online, or again, I can pop a link in the chat just after this. So as Claire previously mentioned, third-party extensions and ArcGIS extensions may have been a barrier to some of our users migrating from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. A notable mention is the GeoMaster extension, which the forestry management side has been updated to be compatible with ArcGIS Pro. However, the Harvest Manager side is still in progress and in beta form. Another recent extension upgrade is actually an ArcGIS-based extension, and that's the ArcGIS Pro Maritime extension, which now has like-for-like capability with the predecessor of the ArcGIS bathymetry extension in ArcMap. This like-for-likeness has given some of our users who were once barred from a full migration the ability to have a complete migration from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. Although we aren't the ones who manage and create a lot of these third-party extensions, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to make sure these extensions are getting upgraded to compare and be compatible with the currently available applications. Now, if there's any extensions that any of you may feel is currently holding you back from starting this migration process, please don't hesitate just to reach out to us, and we can see what can be done to assist you, whether it's from us making any updates or reaching out to the correct people. Now, you may be wondering, how do I license ArcGIS Pro? Well, it's actually somewhat similar to ArcMap with a little bit more, some new features added. So to license ArcGIS Pro, we still can use the same ways we once used to license ArcMap. And if you already have ArcMap licensing, this means you're also entitled and will already have access to ArcGIS Pro via your ArcGIS Online account you should have been provided with. With ArcGIS Pro, there's a new licensing format which is named user licensing. It's a more efficient way to manage your users. Named user licenses can be accessed via ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. Please note, Enterprise, however, will require a license manager. But your licensing is managed in this cloud environment rather than a single installation or local licensing installation. The named user licenses are linked to your ArcGIS Online /portal login credentials, which are provided to you by your organization. Now, the changes to users licensing can be made in this licensing portal and can be somewhat instantaneously reflected on the end. All it would require is an reset or restart or relogging into the device for these changes to show. So adding or removing licenses from their Pro application is a lot easier than it has been before. An additional bonus to these named user licensing is the capability to access Pro on any machine. So all you'd need to do is log into a device that already has ArcGIS Pro installed with your ArcGIS Online credentials, and you'll have access to the software. The same setup of basic, advanced, and standard licensing still exists as it did for ArcMap, as well as the independent extensions that would be available added onto your core licensing. There's also now the added user type of GIS Professional, which is an ArcGIS Online user type, which has an added bonus of a pro license included. If you don't currently have licensing and you're really interested to give it a go, there is a free 21-day trial available. So like I said, you've got 21 days to give it a go, and this will give you the full capabilities of accessing ArcGIS Pro. Another link that I'll pop in the chat just in a moment. So the next thing is how do you download ArcGIS Pro? Well, for our New Zealand and South Pacific based customers, our method of accessing downloads is by accessing your organization's My Esri site. If you have enabled Esri access in ArcGIS Online, you can be invited to your My Esri site where download permissions can be assigned for you to access these downloads. Now with that, I would like now to pass to Claire to discuss some of our upcoming webinars.
Thanks, Jess. So with upcoming webinars, we have 2 upcoming webinars. We have one on the 20th of July, again, starting at 11 o'clock, and it's going to be looking at what's new in local maps. And there are some big changes that are coming or have just been implemented in local maps that you might want to hear about. And then if you are also, as well as using ArcGIS Pro, you are using ArcGIS Enterprise, we have on the 17th of August, the Managing an ArcGIS Enterprise install. And that one starts at 11 AM. If you would like to register for either of those webinars or any other upcoming webinars, they are available for registration just on our Learn page on the Eagle website. So I would like to just sort of wrap up our webinar that we've done this morning, and then we're going to jump into our Q&A session. So what have we covered in our webinar this morning? Well, we obviously introduced ourselves, but we also have had a look at some of the basics of ArcGIS Pro. We've had a look at some of the resources that are available to get you over those hurdles or barriers to migrate to ArcGIS Pro. And we've seen from Jack a little demonstration of some of the ribbons that are available in ArcGIS Pro and some of the additional functionality that you might not have been aware of, especially around the cartography part of ArcGIS Pro, which Jess has talked about. In addition, Jess talked about some of the licensing ways that you can license ArcGIS Pro and also how to download ArcGIS Pro. And we did actually have a question around that licensing component, Jess, and it was, what's the best way to license ArcGIS Pro? Because you mentioned 3 sort of different ways.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I personally, and I think most people would agree, that the named user licensing is definitely the most efficient way to license your ArcGIS Pro. The single use and concurrent use licensing for some organizations may still need to be an option. However, with named user, you've got that full control of your licensing administration, and the ease of not having that local installation is a much better solution, I would say, for licensing ArcGIS Pro.
And for the named users, it means you can transfer between different machines, doesn't it, and use ArcGIS Pro on any of those machines.
Yeah, exactly. And with the ease of having add-on licenses for Pro or those core user types you've got already in ArcGIS Online, those Pro licenses can also be dished out a little bit easier and shared around by unassigning and reassigning them in ArcGIS Online or Portal.
And building on the top of that, a question just about how do you get an extension license for ArcGIS Pro?
Yep, that's another great question. So for extensions, they would need to be, most of the time they have to be purchased additionally, and this could be done through your account manager if you've got one already, or you can reach out to our sales team who will be able to help as well.
And so they would be licensed in the same way through, if you're using named users, they'd just be added to your named user?
Yep, that's correct. So if you've already got core licensing for ArcGIS Pro it gets assigned to the user the same way you'd assign that Pro license. So all it is enabling the feature or the license in ArcGIS Online, and you're good to go.
Fantastic. Great, thank you for that clarification. I also just had a quick question about what the URL for the Eagle Migrating to ArcGIS Pro website is, and we'll pop that in the chat window in just a moment again. And also the recording for this webinar will be available both through GoToWebinar and also on YouTube. So on the YouTube version of this video, we will actually pop that website URL in the description for that as well. What about that free trial of ArcGIS Pro that you mentioned, Jess? So it comes with, what sort of license does it come with? Does it come with a basic license or an advanced license of ArcGIS Pro?
I might have to stand myself corrected. However, I do think it comes with an advanced license and you get all of the extensions. So it's pretty much the best licensing you can get for the 21 days. So you have that complete and full functionality to test and play as you wish, to give you a real good idea of what you want to go forward with and purchase afterwards.
Brilliant. That's great to have that full access to everything. Now that trial would also come with an ArcGIS Online account, wouldn't it? Because it needs that for the licensing.
Yep, that's correct. So you'd need to have the ArcGIS Online account to manage the licensing. So not only do you get ArcGIS Pro trial, you can also trial the ArcGIS Online interface as well.
Cool, fantastic. Just when we're sort of talking about ArcGIS Pro and licensing, and you showed us at the very end of the session, you showed us where to go to download it. So it's MyEsri. Do you just want to drop that MyEsri URL in the chat window for people as well? If you have, and just to let you know, if you have used MyEsri in the past, over the past sort of, it's about a year, I think now, you may have started to see some changes to that website. It's being updated all the time. And that version of MyEsri will be the permanent version of MyEsri with the classic view being retired very shortly. And to get access to that MyEsri website, we need to do something special with our username and password, don't we?
Yes, so in ArcGIS Online, if you end up in your members tab, which if anyone needs any help, I'm happy to go through it, but you just select the 3 dots next to the user's name and there'll be a bunch of options that pop up, and you want to select enable ArcGIS, enable Esri access. So this will not only give you access to MyEsri, but it will also enable your training access.
Brilliant, yeah, and that's a really good point. So if you want to access any of those e-learning resources that we referenced in the Esri Academy, you have to have your username and password enabled with that Esri access. And as Jess said, if you have any problems with getting that access sorted, do just email us to ask for some help. So you can either email the support team or the licensing team, virtual team as well. Maybe, Jess, you could drop those 2 email addresses in the chat window for people to how to get in contact if they're having problems with either licensing or getting access to the Esri Academy. I'm going to give, that's all the questions that we've had come in, but I'm just going to give people another couple of minutes to, if you have any extra questions that you would like to ask us, to just drop them into that chat question panel down the side of GoToWebinar. And while you do that, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to take us back so you can see our contact details in the PowerPoint slides. So just bear with me while I do that. I thought we had them right at the end as another copy of the slide, but we don't. So I'm just going to have to go back in the PowerPoint to bring them up again. So let me reshare my screen, and you should be seeing there now that all of our contact details if you would like to personally contact one of the presenters from today's webinar. Jack, I'm going to, it hasn't a question that's come through. I'm just going to pop a question at you. So you've demoed really well the interface of ArcGIS Pro, but you also mentioned that ArcGIS Pro sort of had this project that you're working with. Now, for an ArcMap user, the concept of a project might be quite new. Would you be able to just sort of maybe define what a project is in ArcGIS Pro for people?
Yep. So a project is pretty much like everything that is in ArcGIS Pro. So you can wrap up not just some data, but your whole project. So all the layers, all the geoprocessing history, all the toolboxes that you may have created or imported, as well as all the toolboxes that you've used, and all the data that you've created, as well as all the data that you've imported into the project.
Okay, and I noticed also that you had a map and a scene in your demo, and so that's another concept of a project that's quite new to an ArcMap user, is that you can have multiple maps inside of a project and have them either open as a view or closed, and they're available from your catalog pane. And the other thing that's available in ArcGIS Pro that has always been a little bit of bugbear for those of us who've used ArcMap is that you can have multiple layouts now inside of ArcGIS Pro. So if you want to have an A4 portrait layout and an A4 landscape layout, you can really easily do that within the one project. And for a lot of people, they're like, right, that's it. I'm changing to ArcGIS Pro because I can do multiple layouts now, and I don't have to worry about what I had to do as a workaround in ArcMap for that layout. So thanks for me just springing that question on you there, Jack.
No
You did
problem.
really well at answering that. We haven't had any more questions come through, so I think we're going to wrap up this webinar now. It's been a pleasure to be here with you for the last wee while, and I hope you have learnt something to help you on your journey to migrate to ArcGIS Pro. And as I said, if you do have any questions for the specific presenters for this webinar, our contact details are still there on the shared screen, so do contact us. And I'd like to really just thank my co-presenters of Jess and Jack for being with me for this period of time for this webinar. So thanks, guys.
And thank you, Claire.
And that's us for today. I'm going to close the webinar down now. And just to let you know, you will receive an automated email to say thank you for attending. It will also have the link to the recording for this webinar in there for you. And for those of you who weren't able to attend live, that same link will go out to those attendees who weren't able to attend live. And eventually the webinar recording will make it onto the Eagle Technology YouTube channel, so you can access it from there as well. And we'll put a lot of the URLs we mentioned in the webinar into the description for that YouTube video. That one's also will be accessible for those of you who would like closed captions on it. It will have closed captions on that YouTube video. So thanks for being with us. Ka kite.